So I actually started I'm going to say about 15 or so years ago, working with a group out of Baltimore in the US, writing a specialized resource newsletter. And then after about 10 years, they went through a restructuring. I started actually doing freelance writing for mining companies, and then felt I needed to get back into the newsletter business and launch my own newsletter. And when I was doing research for that, because I knew I would need to have a website that had transaction capabilities and so on, I connected with a woman out of Vancouver, Gwen Preston, and we ended up partnering soon after that and launched a silver-focused newsletter. This would have been in January of 2021. And so it's been about 3.5 years now of the Silver Stock Investor newsletter. And I would say about a year, no, actually, right around that time, a couple of months after that, launching the newsletter, a good friend and colleague from the newsletter business prior that I worked at, said, Peter, you should write a book. He had been bugging me to do this for some time. And I said, Bill, you're right. And I said, but if you're prepared to do the editing for me, he's a financial editor. I said, then we can go ahead and I'll do that. And so I got going. I said nothing to anyone. This was COVID. This was, about almost a year into COVID. And I said nothing to anyone for about 6 months. I needed to get started, have a substantial amount written, and to feel comfortable enough that I was going to, get through this. It was quite a project to write a book. I must say that if I had known the amount of work in advance, I may not have written it.
Real World Asset Wealth: How to Protect Your Wealth from the Upcoming Financial Impact. Download this brand new report for free and get instant access to our resources. Click the button below the video now.
So it was good to be ignorant in this case. And so it came out in, this would have been May of 2022. Very, very happy with the results. I'm getting a lot of great feedback. People really like the book. My goal was to educate and give people an overall view of silver, its history, how it's used, how to invest in it, and the potential. And I really think it has what I would call generational potential. It's a generational opportunity to create wealth. And so, the book is really an overview. And then the newsletter, which I write and put out on a bi-monthly basis, is what I would call more of like a real-time way to follow the silver sector. It's all about what I buy and sell, my ideas, my research in the silver space. And so, it's just, I think the best way to keep track of what's going on in silver. It's, as far as I know, the only silver-focused newsletter on the market. And so I'm happy to say that, I'm there to serve those interests.
Excellent story. And the part what you buy and what you sell particularly interests me. So what are you buying and what are you selling? Of course, no names, I understand that, but tell us a bit, what are you buying, what are you selling?
So the entire, as far as I'm concerned, the entire silver space in terms of everything really, from the metals to the ETFs and all the way through from the large producers and royalty companies, and then all the way to the junior explorers, they're all still quite undervalued in my view. The metal is still quite undervalued. We're at around $29, $30 US right now. As your viewers might know, silver was at 50 in January 1980. It was almost at 50 in April of 2011. And so we have not even broken the all-time nominal high.
Yeah.
Much less the inflation adjusted all-time high, which would probably be closer to about $170 if you look at the January 1980 high and adjusting for inflation for today. So the metal itself has tremendous potential, and the stocks over time leverage. Normally they leverage the gains in silver because of course you have profits from mining, and as the silver price goes up, that just boosts your profits. So what we've seen in the last, I'm going to say, maybe 3-4 months since silver bottomed in February this year around $22 and then had a tremendous run to $32. That was a 45% gain in a matter of a few months. It has sort of dialed back a little bit, and it's digesting. I feel it's digesting those gains. We saw the larger companies in this space, the royalty companies, we saw the larger producers were the first ones to react and to leverage the gains in the silver price. We saw some reasonable gains in the smaller producers and the developers, companies that have a mature project that they're moving through different phases to bring it into production. And then the least, this is not, across the entire portfolio, but the least, I guess, reaction has come from the junior explorers so far. They do sometimes march to their own, the beat of their own drummer, in the sense that, of course, they will leverage gains in the silver price, but they will also move according to discoveries. For example, if they have an impressive discovery hole, or if they announce some kind of a resource, which tells the market they have X number of tens or hundreds of millions of ounces. So it's not just the silver price that makes them move, but nonetheless, they have not moved like the larger cap contemporaries. So I think that as you move down the scale in terms of market cap and maturity in the equities, there's more and more potential because they simply have yet to follow the gains in the silver price. But in the last few weeks, we saw a really nice run again, about a couple of weeks in the larger caps. They've started to move once again. Again, like I say, the opportunity is really the most compelling opportunity remains in the smaller capitalization companies.
Yeah, explorers.
I think we are. I think we really are. If you look at, just to give a simple, understandable overview, the silver market is 1 billion ounces of supply per year, roughly. And right now it's about 1.2 billion ounces of demand. So there is 20% more demand than there is supply currently. And we've seen over the last 3 years, and there's forecast again this year, that we will be in a deficit position. Now, interestingly, it's looking more and more like a structural deficit. In other words, not just sort of a one-time large demand or one-time big shortage in supply. It looks like an ongoing phenomenon. And what's interesting is that silver supply, about 85% of it comes from mining, and about 15% comes from recycling. Now, both of these have been pretty